Welcome. Good to be here this morning, and I appreciate you coming again for our monthly press conference. Over the past year, we've been listening closely to our community. During the bond campaign, one message rose loud and clear that we heard. Many people wanted a deeper understanding of how Wichita Public Schools works and how their voices shape our direction. That's why this past June of 25, we launched a community engagement survey to hear from families, staff, and community members. More than 1,800 people responded in both English and Spanish, giving us valuable insight for how people see our schools, our funding, our facilities, and how we communicate. This feedback is not just data, it is a compass that will guide our decisions as we align resources and strategies with the needs and aspirations of our community. I want to share some key takeaways from the survey results. First, our students truly reflect the future of Wichita. While the 2023 U.S. Census data tells us that nearly 60% of Wichitans are Caucasian, our schools are much more diverse. Nearly 40% of our students are Hispanic, along with many other cultures and languages being represented. This is a strength that we celebrate every day. Second, poverty impacts our students differently than it does in the broader community. More than 84% of Wichitans live above the poverty line, but over 80% of our students qualify for free and reduced lunch meals. This underscores why our mission matters so deeply. Education is not just about learning, it's about leveling the playing field and ensuring opportunity for every child. The survey also emphasized an important truth. Those who are connected to our schools through visiting a building, volunteering, or working within WPS are more aware of our challenges and more supportive of the work we do. This tells us we must continue finding ways to reach those who do not have a direct tie to our schools, so they understand the story of WPS and our students. We saw similar patterns when asking people to grade the district overall. Those who had not been in our schools in more than 5 years graded us lower than those who had recently engaged with us. Again, this points to the same conclusion. When people experience WPS firsthand, they better understand the strengths and the challenges we face. We must do more to open our doors, extend invitations, and build those connections. When it comes specifically to facilities, community perceptions were varied. English-speaking respondents gave us a C letter grade for our facilities, while Spanish-speaking respondents gave us an A. We also learned that nearly half of our parents, guardians, and staff rely on first-hand sources, students, teachers, volunteers, for their information about our schools. But the farther people feel from our classrooms, the more they depend on outside sources like local or even national media. This reinforces the importance of building trust, building strong, direct lines of communication and trust. That's exactly why we launched this survey and why we are here today. We're committed to transparency, to consistent communication, and ensuring that every voice has a place in shaping our future. Part of this work includes new avenues for conversation, such as these monthly press conferences and community advisory groups that create ongoing two-way dialogue. Looking ahead, we will expand this effort even further with educational sessions about how the district operates, a community newsletter, and small group visioning sessions. Our promise is simple. We will continue listening, learning, and engaging. Because when our community is informed, connected, and invested, our students are stronger, our schools are better, and Wichita moves forward together. Goal number 3 of our strategic plan is to enhance safety and belonging across Wichita Public Schools. A critical part of this work is strengthening family and community engagement, led by our Deputy Superintendent Gil Alvarez. Back in July, I shared that we would create a new role in our district, a Director of Partnerships and Belonging, someone who can bring together district departments, school leaders, external partners to create a system that lifts up student belonging, increases staff engagement, and strengthens family connections. Corinthian Kelly starts next week as our Director of Partnerships and Belonging, so we welcome Corinthian. Another way we are deepening family engagement is through our new pilot program called Community Schools, led by LaTanya Kennedy, our Director of Family and Community Engagement. This vision of community schools is powerful, bringing academics, health, social services, and community partnerships together under one roof to give students comprehensive support for success. This initiative is about more than programs. It's about reimagining the role of schools as hubs where families, educators, and community partners work hand in hand to meet the needs of the whole child. I would like to invite LaTanya to tell you more about our program.
Hello, I'm LaTanya Kennedy, Director of Family and Community Engagement for Wichita Public Schools. As a former principal, I have seen firsthand that schools are more than buildings. They are the heartbeat of our neighborhoods. That belief is what drives community schools, a partnership between United Teachers of Wichita, our Board of Education, and district leadership. Together, we are reimagining how schools can support students by weaving together family engagement, integrated services, and meaningful collaborations and community partners. This year, 7 elementary schools are launching community schools. Those schools are Adams Elementary, Anderson Elementary, Colvin Elementary, Dodge Elementary, Stanley Elementary, and Spade Elementary, along with Washington Elementary. Each of these schools has a dedicated coordinator whose first step is to listen, to assess the unique needs of the school's community, and then connect students and families with the right resources, programs, and partnerships. It is about transforming schools into hubs of opportunity to ensure students can focus on what matters most, learning. The vision of community schools is simple yet powerful. When students' academic health and social emotional needs are met, they not only thrive in the classroom, but help create stronger, healthier, and more stable communities for us all. We know from experience and research that when families and communities are actively engaged in education, students become more engaged learners and achieve at higher levels. Community schools is about making that engagement real, sustainable, and impactful. We're excited about the possibilities of this program and what it will create for our students, and we'll be happy to share more as we work and progress towards our goal. Today, I want to shine a light on what this means at a school level. Amy Hart, principal of Stanley Elementary, is here with us to talk about how community schools is already creating new opportunities for her students and their families. Amy?
Hi, I'm Amy Hart, principal at Stanley Elementary. We are honored to be a part of the Community School Initiative. Even in these first months, we have already seen it begun to transform our school in meaningful ways. Our coordinator has been instrumental in bridging the gap between home, school, and community, creating positive connections and sending a clear message to our families. We want you here. That simple invitation has opened doors. More families are coming into our school, learning alongside us about what their children are studying and discovering ways they can support learning at home. We are seeing incredible momentum take place and shape through a variety of efforts. Things that we have going on is our families are volunteering and engaging socially. We have plenty of families that are coming during our lunch recess time, playing with our kids. Families are understanding what the students are learning as well by coming into the classrooms and how they can support at home. We've been involved in a Teach for America grant where we're getting a new washer and dryer. We are looking at starting a laundering service with our families, but also the ability to clean clothes throughout the day because we know when our students feel safe, they are more engaged with what they're doing. We have a partnership with the Kansas Department of Children and Families to provide and support families early before needs become challenges. We've started a snack pantry for our staff, trying to ease the financial burden because they often spend money out of their own pockets to pay for basic needs of our kids. We have a plan for a sustainable food pantry so we can support not only the families that come to us, but the community around us. We have building partnerships that are highlighting positive things happening in our school and throughout Wichita Public Schools. We were most recently part of Open Streets ICT, and we got to connect with families and community members, but also help connect our families with resources. The impact is already visible. As families feel more connected and supported, students feel more welcome and eager to come to school. We're beginning to see these changes reflected in our chronic absenteeism. It's moving in the right direction. Our end-of-year building goal is 93.8% average daily attendance. We're at 93.5 and continuing to grow strong. We have 3 grade levels, our kinder, second, and third, that have already surpassed our end-of-year goal with 94 and 95% average daily attendance. People often tell us that Stanley feels like home. This is the highest compliment for us. We believe, as does Wichita Public Schools, a school should feel like a place where every family belongs, where staff are supported, and where children know they are valued and cared for. I can proudly say this is happening across our district and in our building. Because of that, I invite you, come join us. Come be part of the magic in our building. We welcome you to film. We welcome you to partner. We welcome you to come spend time with our staff and our students. Thank you.
All right, and I would want to thank you guys for coming today and for sharing. At this time, we'll take questions, and these guys are available for questions too. I would say part of the board meeting Monday night and us sharing about community schools and part of us talking about it here today is the fact that we can't do all of it alone, that we need our community, we need the nonprofit groups and the churches and the leaders and everybody to be supportive of our kids. It takes all of us to create future-ready students, and that's what we're wanting to do, is work together on that. So at this time, I will pause for any questions that anyone may have.
What has been that biggest barrier of getting the parents involved? I mean, you mentioned that I guess there's quite a bit of shift in it, whether it be your background, rhythm background, economic background. Does it vary the participation of the family, of the parent based on that as well? What is the barrier overall in general?
Yeah, I think it's unique to each building to some extent. Some of our buildings have a high number of parents who don't speak English as a first language, so that can be a barrier. Other schools that don't have that as an issue, just poverty in general. Parents that work second shift, parents that can't get off work in order to attend a school event. But I think we want to focus on what are the things we can control as a district, and really just making sure, as Amy mentioned, that invitation's open. The parents feel welcome, the parents feel safe, that they understand that we do need them to be part of the solution of trying to get their kids future ready. So what we're trying to control is that open invitation and really building these bridges in our schools to make them the hub that we described for the community that parents are connected to. But there's other systemic things that are beyond that are just challenges. They're not, that doesn't make it impossible, it just makes it a little harder for parents. Any other questions?
Beyond the couple things that you mentioned, between those that are reporting lower, having a distance of 5 years without being in the district, were there any other primary or key concerns or key takeaways that you guys got from these surveys beyond those major ones? Are there any other variables there?
Yeah, I mean, there were several key takeaways. We highlighted a few of them. That was one of the themes that was, as we looked at the data and what differentiated, certain responses from others, that was one that was really stark. That people, especially community members, not just parents or staff, but community members that maybe don't have a direct connection with our schools, if they come volunteer, if they do support us somehow, if they go to events, maybe it's a musical event or a sports event, they tend to understand in a different way what the challenges and the strengths of our district are, as opposed to those people who just never, a community member who just never interacts with staff or building or anything like that. So that was one of the key takeaways. I mean, I think it gave us some other good pieces of information about how parents and community members want to be communicated with. As you guys know, communication is a challenging landscape these days. The different generations prefer different modes of communication and styles of communication. But, not to be too, lift you guys up, but part of this press conference concept is that we know there is a certain demographic that this is how they get their information. And so we want to make sure we're trying to meet all of our community members where they're at, whether that's a local news person, that's where they get their information, a traditional media sort of a person, or social, online, direct email, text, all those kinds of things. So, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to ask if the results of the survey will be available or public?
Yeah.
And then beyond that, I know it was briefly touched on something you guys were touching on, the aspect of the community schools. Is there another way we can briefly break down, I guess, I believe there's 7 new ones that are occurring, how are these different? I know the problem you mentioned, can we reiterate that once more?
Sure. I'll start, and then I'm going to call on my friends that have the better answers. But what we wanted to do was begin a pilot process for this. So we're really early in the stages of the model. The model isn't new. It exists in other places, and we've traveled to some other communities that have this to see it. But we are still in the early stages. So, LaTanya, if you'd want to speak to the schools themselves.
Yes, the schools that were selected are our Title I schools, so we knew that there were high needs there. And so in partnering with our Title I department here in the district and those principals, those schools were selected, and we're hoping that this model will be, and we know that it will be, successful, and we can then possibly do some feeder pattern work and continue it not only from elementary, but through middle school into high school.
And what exactly makes these ones, I guess, different from the rest of the district?
What makes these schools different than the other ones in our district?
The community schools, I guess.
Oh, community schools, okay, well, thank you for clarifying. Community schools all have a site coordinator within their school, and that site coordinator did a needs assessment where they questioned the parents and also they questioned the staff to see what were the needs of that school. What we're finding is that some of the schools all of them will have a different need, of course. Some schools have issues with transportations. There are some schools that have issues with food disparity, whatever those issues are. And from that point, when that need assessment is analyzed and we know what the needs are, we then will reach out to the community to see if there are organizations that we can partner with in order to help fill the needs of our families so that our students are there, they're ready to learn, and they're successful at school. Other questions? Okay.
That was good. Any other questions from anyone?
You mentioned that those that are engaged feel positive about the district. And what is that barrier of getting people engaged? You even mentioned they're now in English-speaking field of the districts much higher than the other ethnicities.
Yeah. So a couple things there. I think that one of the things that the Spanish-speaking participants of the survey graded our facilities higher. We have made investments in you think of the maybe traditional areas of town where the Hispanic population is denser. Ortiz Elementary is pretty new. Earhart Elementary is pretty new from last bond issue. So there are some newer facilities in some of those areas that could be part of that. Overall, the letter grade was a C for our facilities, for the majority of the respondents. So we know that there's work to do. That's part of why we attempted the bond issue last February. Those needs haven't gone away. We continue to have needs, and we continue to need to find ways to support those needs, hopefully sooner than later. The other thing that you asked, though, is what are the ways that we can get community members into our buildings? And I think, you know, you don't want to go, it seems like the last 5 years, every time something goes wrong, we say, oh, it was COVID, it was COVID. We don't want to have that excuse all the time, but there is a lot to that when it comes to this, because traditionally before COVID, we had a lot of community events in our buildings, and even, you know, facilities use from outside groups and things like that. Of course, during COVID, we cut all that off. We wanted to keep, you know, everything safe, keep kids safe, so we didn't have as much of that going on. And we're still yet to get back to some of that where our facilities are a little more open and usable for the public. I think we need to be more strategic, though, in how we invite and who we invite, and just really engaging with the community. When our kids do better, our entire community does better. We graduated 3,000 kids last year in class of 25. Every Wichitan, regardless of if you have students in the district or not, every Wichitan is better off if those 3,000 students are productive citizens, right? And so I think it's important that our community understands their role in supporting us, and I think it's important for us to continue to thank our community for supporting us. I say it all the time that our community really does support our schools. They really do in lots of ways. But it's really more of that connected relationship that's a two-way relationship. And you heard that in some of the comments, that our goal is not to just, you know, tell and communicate to people in the community. It's to also listen and hear. And we've done a better job of that in this past year, I feel like. So.
I think the last one I have for you.
I have one more question.
Please do.
Okay. My questions are about Corinthian's position. Could you talk about what all that role entails and kind of how it's evolved over the last couple of years?
Yeah, I appreciate the question. So Corinthian is filling maybe the biggest shoes we have to fill in the district. Dr. William Polite, who passed away last April, had been our director of diversity, equity, and accountability. So what we did in order to continue that work, or kind of how we've reshaped it a little bit, we also, part of what Dr. Polite had been working on was mentoring with Future Ready Advocates and some BASE programs, some of these other programs. And because that mentoring much more directly supports students' behavior, we've reorganized that a little bit and put that into the Office of Behavior, which was a office we were required to start after the Department of Justice in settlement in 23. So Corinthian's role is going to be more about the work that Dr. Polite did in the community and working with our community partners all across the city to stay connected and to engage. Really just what I was just saying about all the different levels of how we need bi-directional communication across the community. And then also, if you follow us at all, these last 5 years, we've made considerable investments into restorative practices, and so that will be somewhat new to the role. That is not what something that Dr. Polite worked on directly, but Corinthian will be leading our. Really, we've invested a lot in training the majority of staff, so it's really about keeping it ongoing and making sure that we're having fidelity to the program. So.
And then last one for you, somewhat of a segue here, but still on the line of, community questions and things of that sort. One of the questions that we get the most common on anything that we post, the longer we cover things pertaining to the district, are the school closings. I ran into that just a couple days ago when I was doing a similar story. As far as the surveys go, what have the questions been? Granted, this was last year, but as far as the closings that are supposed to take place in 2027 and 2028, what were some of the things that you guys heard about that? If at all.
About to what?
About the school closings, the four that are supposed to be closing in 2027 and 2028.
Yeah. So a couple things I'd say on that. It hasn't come up yet, but there's been in the last week a number of articles from you guys about our enrollment numbers, which are following the projections of what we expected. We are in a state of declining enrollment. I heard from the Commissioner of Education at the state level that actually 90% of Kansas school districts are in a state of declining enrollment right now. So this is not unique to Wichita. But I do think it helps us to continue to understand the need for right sizing the need for having the right number of schools for the right number of students across the district and to be efficient with taxpayer dollars. So we haven't announced anything different or any changes. We will get back with buildings and principals. We had said sometime in the fall of '25, so we'll have more information coming that's detailed on that. But the trend continues that, the enrollment declines are happening all across the state. Birth rate is a big part of that. There just aren't as many children in Kansas as there used to be, particularly in Sedgwick County. And so we'll continue to evaluate it. All right, very good. Thank you, guys.